Oh mate, I just got these delivered, Monolith M1060s, for budget planar magnetics. They sound amazing, and ooh, I've got one of my favourites here. The Bear Dynamics DT990 Pro, the big 250 ohm versions. I plug these into my mixing desk when the rare times I'm making music, and just, oh, these are so nice to listen to music to. But what if I really, really, really want to annoy people on the metro? I want everybody on the metro to know that I am listening to Alcazar's Crying at the Discotheque, which means I'm going to have to try and run these things from this. Ooh. But this little guy on top isn't quite powerful enough to run these, and it's not detailed enough to run these. What I should do is buy something from Theo. You know, that would be the smart thing. Except I'm cheap, so I went on Wish instead. Yep, hi-fi headphone amplifiers. Oh, this one in particular is hi-fi, all right. With all of the working from home recently, I've just started collecting headphones and just listening to loads of headphones. And wow, if you've never ever had a good pair of headphones before, I've been doing this headphone thing for less than a year, and oh, I can't go back to the really bad set of headphones that I used to have. It's just, there are so many better options out there now. I wasn't kidding either. Those Monolith M1060s, they just arrived, and they're really good. And if I'm sitting in the living room, I want to listen to my music with good detail, with decent volume. I can't exactly bring my desktop amp in here, a JDS Labs Atom Amp and Atom DAC, because they need a computer to connect to. I'm not exactly going to haul my entire computer setup into the living room, also I can listen to my headphones in there, so I thought, why don't I see what Wish has on offer? Mostly because, well, one, I'm cheap, hence Monolith M1060s over Audi's LCD2s, and I want to laugh at these. So here we are. Both of them, with postage, were only £22 each. So for £44, I've gotten two headphone amplifiers. Do you want to see what they look like? Of course you do. This tiny, tiny little boy, and this slightly chunkier boy. Let's have a look at this. The Trasam Q1. Just look at this tiny little thing. Yeah, it's micro USB on the end, but the cable they sent with it is USB-C on the other, so it just connects directly to your Android phone. Isn't that great? Headphone out, and then not much else. That's it. Now this one is just... It is just the X1. Hi-Fi headphone amplifier, X1, Android and iPhone supported. I have no idea who makes this. It is literally just sold as the X1. This is the cable I got with it. See, it's micro on one end, it's USB-C on the other, and it does legitimately work. You know, actually, let's just get rid of the boxes. Let's put these bad boys on display. The listings were confusing because both of them have exactly the same pictures. Both of them look identical, apart from the branding. Of course, when they arrive, this one is a tiny, tiny, tiny little fella, and this one is chunky. It's a little bit chunkier. This one was rated to run headphones at 120 ohms. This one up to 200, which is absurd for something so tiny. Oh, and the little kiss of the opening tool is there, and I'll get to that. They do, honestly and for truly, work. You just connect them to the bottom of your Android phone, and there you go. You've got high-quality audio. And they purport to support up to 24-bit at 192 kilohertz. Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't use these for anything over, like, 48 kilohertz, because there's no hi-fi audio certification on these anywhere, and even if there was, I wouldn't believe it for a second. I mean, look at them. But there is a reason why I got the DT990 Pros in here. Those are 250 ohms. This, despite having the higher ohm rating at 200, it can't run them. You max out the volume, and it just can't run them at all. This, on the other hand, oh, it should only go up to 120 ohms. It ran the DT990s relatively well. Like, it wasn't maxed out volume. It was near the top, but it wasn't maxed out. It ran them reasonably well. So the Trasam. I plugged this in, started playing some music. I used, you know, the DT990s, I couldn't run them. The Monolith M1060s, they're reasonably good out with these. And I also tried my KB Ears KS2s. And you know what? There was good bass, you know, I could hear all the individual elements of songs like Hotel California. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Until it wasn't. This thing, within about 1 hour of use, especially after I tried to run the DT990s, the right channel started losing lots of volume. Now it is barely audible. Yep, it's completely broken, and that's why that was there, because the bottoms of both of these are just glued onto the circuit board directly. So you can just prise them off using, well, I don't have an opening tool, so I used a kitchen knife. I used a paring knife. And I tried to see if there was an issue. I think one of the capacitors has absolutely lost the plot. So it's just gone. I tried, you know, cleaning it. I even dunked the entire circuit board in isopropyl alcohol to see if I could clean anything out. I think that made it worse. Whoops. But that's where we come on to the X1. Yeah, the slightly junkier boy. This actually ran the DT990s reasonably well. I'm honestly surprised by this. Like, oh my goodness, it did run the DT990s. A bit of an issue when it comes to the KB KS2s though, because you plug in a set of IEMs or any other like little tiny bud type things, and there's just noise. There is some kind of line level noise when you use tiny buds like this, like 16 ohm buds with this. So if you want to buy one of these to use with this, don't. All you will hear is noise. But Monolith M1060s through this, the DT990s, my Grado SR60Xs, they all sound really good out of this. Even my Samson SR950s, even they sound good out of this. Like, especially through the Samson SR90s, which are a bit closed in. You know, this widened them just a little bit. The bass was really smooth. I could hear quite a lot of details. And when this is £22, and the Samsung's are like 42, well, congratulations, you've just got an easy breezy on-the-go audiophile for not a lot of cash, and it sounds really good, especially if you've got something like what I've got, which is Apple Music with all the lossless enabled. This is brilliant, apart from that line-level noise, and another issue as well. So, I use a Mac. Isn't that great? So, that means, you know, surely I could, you know, connect cable, oops, USB Mini. I could connect the cable to this and plug this in to one of the Thunderbolt ports. You know, that makes sense. Shouldn't I be able to do that? It does not let you do that. You plug this into a Thunderbolt port. Like, it doesn't matter that it could be a Mac, it could be a Dell, it could be a HP. You plug this into a Thunderbolt port, and this does not know what to do. It completely freaks out. So I thought I'll connect it to a proper USB-C port. I have a docking station for my MacBook Pro when I'm in the house, and those have proper USB-C ports on them, not Thunderbolt ports. I connected it to that, and it sends way too much power to this. Like, to run the KB ears through this when connected to USB-C on a USB-C docking station, oh, I was down at the lowest possible volume, and these were too loud. And there was so much line level noise, and it's not like it's a cheap docking station as well, just, So despite the advertisements, this is not really a desktop amplifier. I mean, I'm sure if you got this and plugged it into USB-A, like maybe it's a USB 2 port, which is only 500 milliamps, yeah, this might work a lot better for something like, you know, using it as a desktop amplifier. And to be perfectly honest, if that did work, that's a fantastic way to get better audio out of a laptop. Yeah, bit of a mixed bag. If this one worked, like, I think I would have preferred this one for things like my Monolith M1060s, because it felt a little bit better. Both have the same chipset, but this one seemed to have a little bit more going on in terms of how well it represented stereo. This a little bit less, but it can drive big stinky headphones from the USB power on this phone. It does absolutely drain the battery power on this thing, by the way. Oh boy. Like, if you've got the screen on, and this is an OLED, so if you've got the screen on, and you're trying to push through some DT990s with this, you can just see the battery level dropping. It drops very fast, so maybe don't take high impedance headphones on a plane where you need the battery to last several hours, because that's just a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Our old mates at Wish have given me a piece of crap, and one that I actually highly rate. Like, £22. Can drive DT990s. Oops. If you're on Wish, or maybe it's AliExpress or something along those lines, and want a cheap headphone amplifier, buy this one. Buy this one. This one, I think because it's so small, maybe the components aren't as high a quality, or they can't take thermals that well. So, take a chance on this one, but this one, I really like.